TOA, Fit Body Forever, and Fit Body Bootcamp communities. What's up, everybody? I am Robert Linkul, owner of TOA, trainingtheolderadult.com, and your Director of Education over at Fit Body Bootcamp. We are going to talk today, briefly, I'll do my best to be brief. We're going to talk about why we use the kickstand component of, or a 1.5 stance or a short split stance, whatever you want to call it, and how to do it properly. Why do we use this? How do we use it? What is the purpose? What is the efficiency? What is the effectiveness, etc.? And is it really the useful piece that we think it is? And so let's dive into it here a little bit. The hinge, just in general, breaking at the hip, hinging, other than general locomotion of walking, the hinge is the most commonly performed movement throughout the day. The average person produces more than 100 hinges in their day, and about 70% of those in the morning prior, I think it's prior to 1 a.m., or excuse me, 1 p.m., if I remember that. It was like 60% in the morning, 40% in the afternoon, something like that. We're more active in the morning, so we do get, you go grab your shoes, you go to grab your purse, your briefcase, your backpack, whatever it is. You could be, I gotta get into the dishwasher, I dropped something, I gotta pick it up, I gotta pick up the dog bowl to go get them food, I gotta hinge over and get the dog food. These are all hinges, these are all breaks at the hip. And so during average hours of wake, let's say the average person sleeps for 8 hours, that leaves you 16 hours of wake with 100, on average hinges. You're looking at, what is that, 16-ish, 14 to 16, somewhere around in there, hinges, I'm good at math, hinges per hour. I mean, that's a pretty significant amount of movement patterns, let alone to think, okay, the average person's also sitting down watching television for like 4 to 6 hours a day. To sit down, that's a hinge. To get back up, that's a hinge. So we have this pattern kind of ingrained into our daily movement patterns. I'm exceptional at math. It's actually 6.5 to 7 reps per hour. All right, so keep that in mind, that this is a movement that we do all the time. If you play golf, if you play racquetball, pickleball, anything where you have to place something on the ground and stand back up multiple times, I mean, you're setting up the ball, the tee at 18 times minimum. You're going to pick up your tee afterwards, let's say half the time. You have to pick up the ball when you go to putt. You got to pick up the ball prior to cleaning the ball to put the marker down, to be able to line the putt up. So you're probably going to hinge 5 to 6 times per hole, times 18 holes. Here we go with math again, right? We're looking at 60, 70, 80, plus the driving range you had to set up the, so we're looking at 100 hinges just to go play golf, let alone everything else you do through the day. It's a very common movement, is my point. And hey, I'm recording over here, buddy. Hey, my focus for you here is, good boy, yep, good boy, is that we are going to perform this either bilaterally, both feet on the floor with your feet even and straight and square, in a kickstand, 1.5 stance or short split stance, or unilaterally, where you're on one foot. And I want to show you the progression of that, being that a bilateral stance builds and is a very good way to build just pure strength. Just brute strength. These are your regular RDLs, hinges, as we call them, rack pulls, swings, deadlifts, any variation, sit to stand, goblet squat, all of these. But in terms of pulling, a true proper hinge is a pull from the floor. You've got your hinges, your RDLs, your rack pulls, your swings. Okay, your deadlifts. You could have regular proper hinge, deadlift, same thing. Okay. From there, we would progress it to a kickstand or a 1.5 stance, short split stance. And that's going to help you build more stability because you've gone now from having a bilaterally very stable stance to a split or a 1.5 stance that now, depending on how you're holding, contralaterally, ipsilaterally, etc., you are going to have load distributed on one side of the body or the other side, slightly off of the balance of the bilateral stance you had momentarily ago. And then when that goes really well and you're like, all right, I'm ready to get rid of the stability component of this, I've got to go work purely on building my balance. Well, that's where the unilateral option comes in, and we can use past partially assisted stability training. That's a dowel rod, a golf club, etc., to do single leg RDLs. You can do a band single leg RDL, holding onto the band at a high anchor, or just do regular old single leg RDLs. And the purpose for that, like why we are going to do this, is as you'll be able to see my dad here, doing a proper hinge to pick up his suitcase, his groceries, his toolbox. He carries them to where he wants to go. He sets them down. He's then got to turn around, works on whatever he works on. Okay, I got to take the tools back. I just do a hinge because I'm not just going to stand in front of this really awkward toolbox with both feet bilaterally even. I'm going to proper hinge with a foot split behind me. I got to pick up the bag of dog food. I'm going to split a foot, hinge, proper pick it up. I'm going to carry it, right? And so we're practicing this just like we would do in real life. However, we're utilizing a fairly heavy implement. So my dad here showcased this lift with, that's I think a 20-pound sandbag, right? And the bilateral component of this proper hinge is very stable. Are you coming into screen? You gonna say hi to everybody? Say hi to the world. Hi world. Okay, so you stay there. So the proper hinge, no, you gotta, come on. I knew you were gonna be a menace. There we go. So much for editing. All right, proper hinges here. As you proper hinge, you've got a great opportunity to pull really good weight off the ground, heavy weight. When you're pulling that weight off the floor, right? Pulling that hex bar, kettlebell, barbell, whatever it is, sandbags that we're using. Now, when we go to the kickstand, you're going to lose something in terms of the bilateral stance, how square it is, how sound it is. It's extremely stable, but to improve stability, that's where we want to go to this kickstand because we're trying to progress to having the foot off the floor. We're just not there yet. We're not able to. So two things are happening here. I'm sliding a foot back to be able to, number one, focus my left leg, my straight left leg, hamstring with an overload. And by overloading it, how am I overloading that? I'm shortening the activation of my right hamstring by bending my knee. So basically I've bent the knee, and as I hinge now, my left hamstring has to do more work because it's on a greater stretch. It has a better vantage of leverage because it's fully elongated, where my right one is bent, it can't activate as well. It's actively insufficient compared to the left. So as I hinge, if I had to put a percentage on it, right now I'm like 65% left hamstring, 35% pulling with my right hamstring simply because it's short. Now I'm going to show you videos of my wife doing this little progression here in just a moment, but ultimately, okay, and notice how my knees are still stacked. That's key in the kickstand. You're going to go from your bilateral stance. You're going to bring your foot all the way in like you're on two balance beams, and then you're going to slide your foot back, but your knees need to stay right in line. They stay what we call stacked. They're right in line. The further you move this foot back, the harder it is for you to hinge. Right now I've got to get this really awkward hinge position. My knee is too far back. If I cheat it up a little, yes, I have a little shorter base of stability. That's what we're doing here, is we're trying to challenge that left hamstring and trying to shorten my ability to be stable. So now I have to improve. Now from here, the goal is we're going to ladder this all the way up. You'll see it in a minute. But ultimately the goal is to take this foot off the floor and to do a proper single leg RDL on one leg and return. To counter the weight, we extend that leg out and we get into that T position at the top. So we go from being extremely stable to a little less stable to really unstable. But the point of that is that we want to improve the abilities of those by giving the appropriate challenge to the client, okay? So as we progress our options, you've got a couple here. These are just regular old single leg RDLs that you see my client Ruth doing, but she's working with sandbags, sandbells, whatever you want to hold on to, dumbbells, again, anything is fine. But you'll notice she comes down 1/1000 and she's trying to come back up rather quickly because she's not great with her balance yet. So when you do contract these single leg RDLs, full single leg RDLs, when you do contract them rather quick, people don't have the amount of time readily available to actually fall over. So they can do the movement really quick and return. They're successful, but they're not as stable yet. They're still just kind of learning how to balance. So sometimes in the beginning, when you get a client that's like, okay, I can do my leg off the ground, just maybe have them go a tiny bit faster. We're not working on a 3-2-1 yet. Let them just do 1-to-1 and just see how they can do. The other option is to down, take it, and then come back down, leave it, and come back up without it. So every other time I have weight, but I'm also getting a chance to balance when I put the weight down and when I go to grab it, I'm grabbing onto something that's a little higher and that's stable. So I get a chance right at the bottom when I'm most susceptible probably of falling over, losing my balance, the most difficult part of the lift. I can grab something that is fairly locked into the ground. It's heavy enough to where I can actually manipulate my body a little based on it sitting on the ground. And I get a moment there where I'm like, okay, I've regained my balance. Now I'm going to pull this off the floor. I'm going to bring it back down. I'm about to lose my balance. I touch it to the floor. I kind of regain. So it's a betweener for you that if, you're like, okay, I want to get to the point where I can do these, fairly proper. That's great. In the beginning, we have these options. My father-in-law, Mike here, learning how to break at the hip, proper hip. And what I have him do here is he splits by putting his foot back a little too far, and he goes, yeah, it doesn't feel great because his rear leg is too far back. So he's struggling, right, to get into that hinge position. I wanted to show you some of the techniques where this is not ideal, but watch Keegan's knees now when we progress her, okay? She's gonna start off with just a regular kickstand. She moves her foot back as far as she can. She's doing them a little quick so she gets them in the video, but with her knees right next to each other. Now to progress it, we're gonna elevate that rear foot, more slack on the rear hamstring, so it can't recruit as much. Then we're gonna move it all the way up the wall. It's super bent now. I'm more balanced, yes, because I'm pushing against the wall, but I can get a look at her range of motion, how much deeper it is. Okay, from this first one, watch her in the very beginning, how deep she gets in her hinge. So she's probably right at parallel there, okay? That looks pretty good. Oops, that looks pretty good for her, right? Compared to when she gets her foot up on the wall, look how much deeper she goes. I mean, she's well below parallel there, well below. So what you're giving up in range of motion, we're gaining in stability. These are all little tools to help us progress to the point where we're capable of doing these proper, okay? And so the order would be this: bilateral stance, whatever the implement, doesn't matter, whatever the lift, deadlift, proper hinge, regular RDL, straight leg deadlift, rack pulls, swings if you do them, okay? Then you would go to your 1.5 stance or your kickstand stance, and you would do RDLs with the foot on the floor. Then you would back it up onto a 4 or maybe 6-inch platform like Keegan did. Then put it up on the wall, okay? Then come off the wall, go to a full single leg RDL with your rear leg bent and a stick support in the other hand. And practice lowering into that hinge, using the stick for balance, and then try to lift the stick off the floor and pull yourself back up, okay? That's a great way to kind of bridge this gap between I can do it, but I'm just not quite there yet. You hold your stick, right hand, we're gonna pelican this other leg. I'm gonna go into my hinge, slow, I'm gonna extend, I feel good. I'm gonna lift up and I'm gonna pull, and then I'm gonna reset. Okay, let's start again. I'm gonna hinge, I'm gonna kick that leg up, I'm gonna find my stability, I'm gonna lift the stick up, pull myself up. And then eventually I can just kind of hold the stick, tap it here and there as needed, and then pull myself back up. And I'm gonna just utilize it sparingly. Anytime where I feel like I'm about to lose it, I can touch it down, and then eventually I'm just gonna hold on to it while I perform my reps, get to the point where I'm like, okay, I don't need this thing at all anymore. I am good to go. That's ideal. Why we would use the kickstand RDL? It is a tweener. It's a bridging lift that takes you from performing a traditional bilateral to a full traditional unilateral. But there's many steps in between to help people get there. And then why ultimately would you do that? Well, as I'm out walking around and I drop my pen, I drop my pen, I'm gonna hinge over and I'm gonna grab in my kickstand, okay? I can get into a kickstand, split stance, I'm teeing up my golf ball, right? That I'm gonna hit, I'm picking up my keys, whatever it is. As I get into my hinge mechanics, we don't stop and go, oh boy, I've got to properly adjust my position here to pick up. No, we just hinge over and we grab it. And often is the case that we are on one leg, we will just reach down and grab something and carry on with our day. It just depends on, number one, the depth. Picking up something that's that high off the ground, probably a kickstand, so you feel really stable. But if I'm grabbing a basketball, I'm gonna be on one foot, I'm gonna hinge, grab that basketball, and I'm up and I'm ready to start shooting again. This is something that we do all the time. So It is a very usable lift, a very usable skill. And it's a hell of a way, if you have a muscular imbalance between your left hamstring and your right, it's a hell of a way to improve and increase one ability from one weakness, one weak link that you have to build up. If you can't do a single leg RDL, let alone do a single leg RDL with a significant amount of weight to help it get better. You're like, I just fall over, I just fall over, I just fall over. Well, how am I going to get better at this if I can never actually do it? Well, let me just start by shortening the other leg and just making it less active. When I do a regular bilateral stance, there's your kickstand. And that one leg gets 65, maybe 70% of the work, and it will get better. And you can load up, you can go pretty damn heavy. So it's a great lift. It's super functional. We use it all the time, and it works. It works really well. So enjoy the kickstands, utilize them, progress and regress to them as needed, and get to the point where, yes, people can do a single leg RDL. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You saw some of mine. My knee was bent. My back was a little round at the bottom. That is real life. But if I'm going to put weight in the hand and I'm like, let's go do RDLs, single legs, I want to do 3 sets of 8. Yeah, I want to be pretty square. I want to keep my chest up. I want to hold that load nice and tight. I want to perform them as perfectly as I can. So when I'm not in perfect positions in real world with no weight, I'm picking up a pen, I'll be just fine. I can hear some people out there, well, you should practice being in the bad positions. If I'm holding 45 pounds, doing a single leg RDL, and then I have to pick up a 2-ounce pen, I can handle rounding my thoracic spine a little bit and I won't get damaged, right? But if I'm picking up that same 45-pound kettlebell, yeah, I'm probably going to want to be in a better posture to make sure my body doesn't fold and wreck into it. That's a whole nother discussion. Should we be doing improper positions or improper, who's to say improper? We're the judges, right? Who's to say like, oh, this is proper versus improper? By that, I mean, anatomically, the postures we put our bodies into, are these as sound, as safe as they can be, or should we be training some more of the vulnerable positions? I used to be the guy that was like, never let your knee drift beyond your toe. Never squat below parallel without rounding, if you tuck your tailbone around your back. Now we're learning that, yeah, we're going to be in those positions. We should probably train there at some point, at least with some body weight. But what steps, what other lifts can help us get more flexible or better in our mobility to help us get to those positions, not in the wrong positions, not tucking your butt, not rounding your back, not drifting your knees over. Okay, those are some of the things that we try to improve on our people. So when real life does happen, they don't get hurt. That is the goal. Ultimately, get as strong as you can, as soon as you can, and stay there for as long as you can, and avoid injury at all costs. Do those things, and you're going to be in great shape. All right, team, 18 minutes of hopefully some good usable information. Any comments, questions, you let me know. And until next time, please continue to fight your good fight against sarcopenia. Take care.